The behavior of parents can influence the lives of their children. I am a proof of this. My mother abandoned us when I was only 12 years old. Before continuing, subscribe, and above all, don't forget to activate the notification bell so as not to miss the next stories. My name is Deborah. I am a nurse. I come from Nigeria. I grew up in a polygamous home. My father had 2 wives and we were only 5 children. The first woman had no child. My mother was the second. On the other hand, she had 5 children. She was my father's pride. I was the eldest of the children. We grew up in a small house that my father had built, in a small village not far from the city. We lived there narrowly, but we lived there anyway. My father was an authoritarian man. No one could dispute his orders. In all things, he had to be obeyed. He was not like these loving fathers, much less like these loving husbands. Our house looked like an army camp with a captain who gives orders and soldiers execute. He never cared about what anyone could feel. My brothers and I called him the Lion. His first wife, Mom Pauline, was much older than my mother. She met my father when she was still very young. Unfortunately, she was unable to have children for over 15 years of their marriage. She respected my father very much. She called him my lord. But as far as my brothers and I are concerned, she didn't love us very much, including my mother. How was she going to love us or love my mother? She was his co-wife, the one who had stolen her husband's love, and she said it to anyone who wanted to hear it. My mother was the only one who did not respect my father's authority. She was the only one who could stand up to him. She told him without hesitation her resentment in the face in case of any inappropriate behavior on his part. She reminded him that she also had a say. She was disrespectful, and I think these bad habits very quickly stuck to my skin. I didn't know the word respect. My father tolerated a lot of my mother's bad character. I remember that one morning, she had followed him to the crossroads, holding his pants by the hip so that he would give her money. And despite my father's threats, he did not manage to dissuade her. She shouted, "Give me the ration money. You won't leave without giving me this money." It took the intervention of one of my uncles for her to let him go. I admit that this story still makes me laugh. When it wasn't with my father, it was with her co-wife. She insulted her copiously and called her a witch. Living in peace was not an option. So it was in this atmosphere of war that I grew up. My father and mother argued all the time. It was so common that we ended up getting used to it. But that evening, I couldn't imagine that it would be the beginning of my suffering. It was about 8:30 p.m. when I went to bed. As I began to be rocked by Morphe's arms, I heard bursts of voices coming from my father's room. "Know that she will come tomorrow. Final. She won't enter this house. If she comes, I'll go. You can even leave tonight. You will have another co-wife, whether you like it or not. We'll see." My mother was very shocked because my father was going to take a third wife. A third woman. Why? Dad often said that my mother was very contemptuous, and for her to calm down, he had to take another woman. The next day, my father went out with so much joy. He came back in the afternoon with a car. It was a taxi. Inside was a young woman. She was really very young. She could be about 20 years old. She got out of the taxi, so did my father. He'd hurried to get her belongings out of the taxi and put them in the yard before paying the bill. My mother was inside the house. As soon as she saw my father accompanied by the young woman, she immediately went out not to welcome them, but to attack the girl. "What are you coming to do here? Husband thief." She rushed on the girl to pull off her hair. Thanks to my father's intervention, this young woman would have been bald right away. "Don't you dare touch her one more time, otherwise I'll give you the scraper of your life," said my father. "She will not enter this house. I'm the one telling you." "Well, we'll see." My mother went to put oil on the fire. She wanted to pour it on the face of my dad's new wife. My father, who knew her very well, had to intercept the process and simply told her that if she tried anything, he would send her packing. The girl moved into the house. My mother, on the other hand, packed her bags and left under the passive gaze of my co-wives and my father. My brothers and I begged her not to leave or to take us with her. But these cries and supplications were in vain. She left without looking behind. I always wonder why she left. "I'm leaving." She was also the second woman, so she found the first. It's been 2 months since my mother left, and the atmosphere at home is very tense. My father's new wife does not take care of us. When she prepares, she doesn't care about giving us some food to eat. Mom Pauline found it unfair to cook in the house and not to feed the children. She managed to make sure that we could eat. And when she was very tired, since I had learned to cook, I often managed to make small meals for my brothers and me. My father had become another person. It looks like he had rejuvenated by 5 years. He dressed differently, he styled differently. It looked like a 25-year-old man. He often went out with his new wife to go to parties and receptions. He no longer cared about us. At the age of 16, when I was at the age of puberty, I began to feel hatred and resentment towards my new mother. I didn't hesitate for a moment to disrespect her. The household chores I used to do had become a burden for me, to the point that I no longer did them. The more I felt my mother's absence, the more I set my sights on her. When my father was absent, it was enough for her to ask me to do something to make me disrespect her. And when he came home in the evening, she would complain and I would get a good beating. One evening, my father almost beat me to death. If not for the intervention of Mom Pauline, I would not be alive by now. I discreetly eclipsed from the house and left. I didn't know where to go, but I was determined to leave that house. I walked in the night for hours and hours, and when I got tired, I slept in an uncompleted building. The next morning, I went to my friend Sandra's house to ask her for something to eat. When I arrived, I saw her mother. She was in the kitchen preparing the meal. "Hello, Mom. Is Sandra here?" "Hello, Deborah. Sandra has already gone to school. Why didn't you go today? Is there a problem?" "No, Mom." "Deborah, what's wrong? Since your mother left, you are no longer the same. My daughter, be careful." She gave me a dish of food that I ate with appetite. I went back home to see how my brothers were doing, but they had already gone to school. I saw my new mother and started insulting her again. "Get out of this house. Never set foot here again," she shouted. I left immediately. I started walking with a gang of delinquents from my neighborhood, and on that day I met Thomi. Thomi was older than me for several years. He had stopped his studies several years ago. He rented a small room in the neighborhood. He was a hairdresser. His style was rather similar to that of the Rastaman. It looked like he was consuming and selling drugs. I've been living with Thomi for 6 years already, and since then, I never went back home to see my family. I liked it where I was. A few months later, I became pregnant. I rushed to tell Thomi the news, but I was very surprised by his reaction. "I don't want this child. I can't afford to take care of a child now. If you don't want to get rid of it, get out of my house." I begged him in vain, but he didn't want to hear anything. Why get rid of this child? After all these years, I decided to look for my mother. I had learned that she had remarried and that she lived in the capital with her new husband. I succeeded in finding her address. So I went to her house. It was the only recourse I had left. When I got to the front of the house, I saw a little girl. She was about 3 years old. I looked at her and noticed that she had the same features as me. She looked like my 3-year-old self. "Hello, are you looking for someone?" "Yes, a lady." Before I finished speaking, she ran into the house and came back with my mother. I immediately understood at the moment that she already had other children. "Deborah, what are you doing here?" "Mom, please help me." "What's going on?" "I'm pregnant." "What? And what did your father say?" "Is he the one who put you out of his house?" "He is not even aware of it. It's been more than 6 months since I left the house. I lived with a guy, but he threw me out because he didn't want a child." "Can I live with you?" "With me? But no, it is not possible. This isn't my house but my husband's, plus he doesn't even know you. I can't surprise him with a child from my ex-marriage. In addition, you are pregnant. I prefer you go back to your father's house. Go ask him for forgiveness so that he accepts you to his home again." I couldn't believe it. Even my own mother rejected me. Where was I going to go? What was I going to do? I was abandoned to myself. I went back to my father's house and begged him to accept me back, and to my greatest surprise, he accepted. But my father's new wife expressed her discontent. Aware of my current situation, I knew that I only had my father to support me now, so in order not to upset him, I was asked my new mother for forgiveness.